So, good evening, everyone. Today we are with our very own Dr. Paula Mukherjee Goel, whom we know as Dr. Paula Goel. And she's an eminent pediatrician and adolescent specialist. So, welcome, Paula. Thank you for joining us. So, as I was just sharing about you to the people, all our lovely friends who have joined us, that Paula is a very eminent personality. She's an MD, DCH, degrees that I may not understand, PGDAP, PGP Diabetology from John Hopkins School of Medicine, USA. She is a diplomat IBLM, US board certified in lifestyle medicine. She is PGP Psychiatry. She is the founder and director of Faith Clinic based in Mumbai, and with over 32 years of experience in the field of medicine and health. She won the Leadership Award in Healthcare 2.0 Dubai in 2022. Her impact is seen through 500 plus talks on lifestyle diseases, aiding 8,000 plus parents in connecting with their teenagers and pediatric services. A prolific writer, she contributes to medical literature on non-communicable diseases and adolescent obesity. Her commitment extends to health camps, underlining her dedication to adolescent well-being. So it's very obvious it's not just about the study of pediatrics. Her concern about the adolescents are equally very dear to her. Well, Dr. Paula is herself a family of doctors, with her husband being a renowned cardiologist, and her son is also a doctor. Her father received the President's Award for pioneering spindle patterns in Indian engineering. Her mother is responsible for motivating her in life and is a constant source of life's inspiration. Dr. Paula is an avid reader, skilled painter, music enthusiast, passionate traveler, nature's confidant, and a devoted animal lover. What a beautiful combination of a doctor and all the very creative aspects that one can have in life. She embraces the principles of Rotary, the creed of selfless service. She is firmly rooted in the profound impact of emotional bonds, extending kindness to all, encompassing both beings and nature. So, Dr. Paula today tells us the art of navigating the modern maze, that is, understanding lifestyle diseases, stress management, and connecting with your inner self. Wow. Thank you, Paula. That is a fantastic topic that you have chosen. So now the platform is all yours. Over to you, Paula.
Good evening, everyone. And I don't know, Aarti, you gave such a big description. I mean, it was sort of very overwhelming, I must say. It just sort of went over my head too. So when we had a discussion, a few days back, and you called me up to ask me what the topic is going to be and what I'm going to speak on. And I had no idea actually, what. And I just sort of thought that, I don't know whether you call it a vision or whether it's a thought. I don't know what it was. But I just sort of saw a lot of people and they seem to be running in different directions, Am I audible?
Of course, totally. Yes.
Yeah, okay, great. Because I am out of Bombay, so I'm in the hotel, so I was not very sure.
No,
so, okay, great. So I didn't understand why I saw this, And at that point of time, Aarti, if you remember, I just told you that I will speak about non-communicable disease or lifestyle disease and connecting to self, because that's what I just came to my mind. And I was traveling to my Mira Road clinic that day, and I was just wondering, what is it that I saw, and why were people running, and what is this thing which I really saw? And then it struck me that when you see people running, they are going in different directions, right? So if you see outside, you look at people and you see, just as an observer, if you look at your community or wherever you are, you'll just see on the road there is so much of population, and they just seem to be going here there, everywhere. And actually it becomes such a crazy maze, and that's when the thing I realized that it's a maze. And what happens when you enter a maze? You get confused, right? There's total confusion when you enter the maze. And then the realization really struck me that we actually all live in a maze, and we are always running in the maze. Now, can you tell me, can anyone tell me what is a maze? Can anyone tell me what is a maze? Do you know what is a maze? So let me give another clue. Anybody seen that film Maze Runner? Y'all can unmute and speak, okay? Don't make it so formal. I mean, I would prefer if I get some interaction. Anybody seen the film Maze Runner?
Yeah, you don't know where to get out from. You're caught in a whole,
Yeah,
going around in circles maybe or in corners.
maze, that this Maze Runner film was a big hit a few years back. And actually, if you look at the dictionary meaning of maze, it's just a network of paths or hedges, which are designed to put in a puzzle. It's supposed to be a puzzle, and one has to find the way out. And this sort of kept on playing in my mind, that what if we are all actually living in a maze and we can't figure out a way out of the maze, and that we're all trapped. We're all trapped in this maze because we keep on doing the same thing, going around, doing the same thing, going around. And the morning turns into the day turns into evening, evening turns to night. And then you sleep, you get up, and you go around doing the same thing. And it just goes on and on and on. And I realized this was such an apt topic because in our life is nothing short of living in a modern maze, a maze of high rises, cars, gadgets, Wi Fi, social medias. And it's so easy to get lost in this maze. It's absolutely so easy to get lost in this maze. So, you know, when you are a child and you are playing in a garden and you are in the maze, you know that you have to follow a particular direction because that's the way you need to get out of the maze. So someone eventually figures it out and you follow that individual and then you get out of the maze, right? But if the person who is the leader cannot find out the route, everybody keeps on going helter skelter. And actually, this is what is happening in our lives today. We are so caught up, in our work, in our careers, in all our mazes of high rises, cars, gadgets, Wi-Fi, social media, malls. So many things which keeps on occurring in our space that we get lost in it. And when you get lost in this myriad of things, what happens to our senses? It gets lulled. And we actually get so caught up with it because we're not using our senses to the full potential. And we get caught in that maze so much so that we don't realize how time has passed by. Okay. And I was just wondering on this, the end to my Mira Road clinic. So it takes me about from Prabhadevi Dadar to go to Mira Road, it takes me about close to an hour. And I realized that when we are stuck in this maze, we have no realization of the time. And time seems to pass us by. And in our life, time is linear, right? In the human life, time is linear. It's not circular. Now, in the holistic approach, everything is circular, right? But in the human world in which we all live, time is linear, which means if your point in time has passed, you've gone to the next point. You can't really go back to the previous point. Your point has exceeded and you've gone to the next point. So in the overall overview of things, there's no time, right? So space has no time. But in our life, we do have something which is time limited, time bound. So there is something which is called as time. And when you are caught up in this maze and you have no inkling about time, you don't realize how much of time has passed. And with the passage of time, maybe at a later point in life, we realize a lot of our objectives, goals have not been achieved. Our life has passed on by, and maybe some things could have been achieved, some things are lost. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you over here, you realize your age? Do you realize your age? What is your age? No, right. None of us do, because we don't look at it from an age perspective. We are living because we are going through our things, and if we are feeling relatively good, we say we are fine. And we only realize our age when we look at our children, maybe our pets, and we realize that they have grown or the pets have aged and time has run us by. And that's when the realization hits us. So with a daily schedule, work schedule, which one has, of looking after family, children, work, jobs, and so many other things which occupy our space in our normal day-to-day living, we just don't, accept this in our conscious mind. And we are lulled into thinking that everything is good. So we live a life which is a fast life. We party, we eat meals without even being aware of what we are eating, where we are going. And if you realize if you actually are, may eat a large amount of carbohydrate food, a large amount of caloric intake, and you don't even realize it, that what you are doing. And it's only when your body starts slowing down, that's when you realize that, things are getting a bit difficult, or you have some digestion issues, that you start thinking that, oh, I have taken a heavy meal. Apart from that, nobody really understands what's happening in their existence and space. And then at a point of time, you realize that, okay, look, I've gained weight, and your body starts slowing down. But what do? We still live in denial because we love our bodies and we don't want to accept it. So we say, we are good. We are good. Everything is good. I'm going to lose a little weight. I'm going to get into exercise. I'm going to be disciplined. And the day never really comes because we are from a very internal space in a space of denial. But if you look at the bigger picture, everything has to be in sync. Nothing can be out of sync. So, like when we were children, we were taught geography and we learned the planetary system. So we know that planets hold their position. Planets don't go out of position. Seasons come and seasons go. So in the nature, in the world, in the universe, everything works in a perfect rhythm, in a perfect space. But what happens in our life? We get so caught up where we are that we actually, we forget that new life has to come and that we also need to evolve. So this is like a trap. And how do we realize it's a trap? We don't know that anything is wrong, but majority of the people just figure that something is wrong in their life because in most simple cases, we know there is something wrong with our body. The body never lies. So in this constant changing world, the only constant thing which is there is yourself, right? Because the rest of the things around you will keep on changing. But you as an individual will be inherently the same. And your body is never going to lie to you. But what happens? Most of the time, we don't want to listen to our bodies, right? We don't want to hear what our body is trying to tell us. Body always knocks. It knocks on the door. But we, from our conscious mind space, we don't want to listen. And then we say that things have not gone as planned, and so many things have happened in my life. And that's when anxiety starts slowly creeping in because you are unable to deal with the situation that you are facing. And because you cannot figure out what's occurring in your life, and this anxiety, some weird sensation keeps on coming up, and it occurs to me a lot of the times. And
you start getting irritated because you don't know what's happening in your body. And your anger, which is there, your suppressed anger, repressed anger, all of them start surfacing up. And you try to, make a semblance of something in your life, but you know that something is definitely out of sync in your life. And at this point, typically we could be in our 40s or maybe 50s too. The children are grown up, and or they are teenagers or they are young adults. And most of the time I get the parents coming back to tell me that they are having so much of altercations with the children. Their views and the children's views are diametrically opposite, and everything is such a mess. And people are working, maybe their retirement years are close by, and they are leading very busy existence, so their meals become unhealthy, their lifestyle becomes very sedentary. They have a lot of friends on social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and but no, the number of real life friends are very less, because nobody goes to meet another person, because where is the time? And this situation creates what we call is that you're caught in a maze, and this leads to acute stress. Now, you must have all heard the song, no? Hotel California. Aarti, you must be knowing Hotel California song.
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah. It was a big hit. But if you listen to the lyrics very carefully, you will realize that what is the singer trying to tell us? He says that it is something so beautiful that you get entrapped and you can never come out. So you become a prisoner of your own device. So that's again a maze in which you cannot leave, because that maze is in your mind, in your life. And this finally leads to stress. Now, medically, let me tell you, stress releases a host of hormones, and the worst of them being cortisol. Now, cortisol is a hormone which basically causes inflammation in the body. So you have inflammation on all organs, tissues, everywhere in the body. So you might have heard the word cortisol, especially during COVID, because the cortisol levels used to be spiked, and the doctors used to say that, okay, long COVID syndrome because cortisol has gone up and there is inflammation all across. And this is a starting point because of these stressors and the cortisol being raised. Your early point of diabetes and pre-diabetes and heart disease, joint problems, cancer, obesity, malnutrition, name it, skin problems, hair loss, PCOS, infertilities. So you just name any organ and tissue, it's there. And plus, not just physical health, your emotional health, mental health, OCD, depression, anxiety, all of these are affected, because the brain too is affected. Relationships suffer because you're no longer in the space where you can communicate properly. If your relationships suffer, if your health suffers, obviously your income also suffers. There's lack of self-confidence. In fact, the entire family dynamics then starts suffering. Now, navigating this maze becomes important. That is when you realize that there is something wrong with myself and I need to navigate this maze. So either you can continue to run around in that maze in a state of denial or in a crazy manner, or you can understand that there is something wrong and you need to work on it. So, which means that you need to become aware. Now, when we say that being aware, in my opinion, in my very humble opinion, I would say awareness is nothing but just connecting to your own emotions, being aware of who you are in the crowd and not just blindly following the crowd, getting into the rat race of following the crowd, because most of the people do that and they think that's very important, and it's when you just stop looking at this, at your surroundings, and you actually start looking at your surroundings from a very different perspective, look at the milestones which you have crossed in your life, and that's when you will start connecting to yourself. And this is important because you need to accept, we all need to accept who we are as an individual, not what the world wants us to be, but honestly who we are. So if I'm somebody who is maybe an angry individual, well, okay, I am an angry individual. I need to accept it, because if I accept my anger, I'm going to be working on it. So this becomes very important. And when you start accepting it, you will realize that, you don't feel so victimized because you can stand up for yourself. You can talk to the person, and it's no longer important to be nice to everyone. You can just be yourself. And that's when you will find that your stress level goes down because you are being who you are. So it's okay if you do not have a fancy car or a house, or even if you do have a fancy car or a house, it's your choice if you wish to live very frugally and go around in flip flops or whatever it is that you wish to do, because that's who you are. So we need to stop living behind this facade. So we know a lot of people, right, who say that they are very well connected, and that they know, but in reality, it's not like that. People really don't get connected to themselves because it's easy to fool everyone, but you honestly cannot fool yourself, and your body will always knock on the door provided you are listening. So as I said, it's your choice what you wish to do. So when you understand this reality, you realize that the maze exists, and the only way out of this maze is to connect to yourself so that somewhere you can get connected and you are able to look above and you can navigate through this maze. Now, when we accept these stressors in our life, we try to work on them. And that when we work on them, we somehow learn to connect with ourselves, and it leads to a more meaningful life. And do you also know that sleep plays a very important role in our life? So, are you aware what is the role sleep plays? How many of you know that sleep? We all know that we have to sleep, but why is sleep so important? Can anyone tell me? Why is sleep so important?
Ma'am, can I?
Yeah,
Yes,
go ahead.
please.
Ma'am, sleep is important because that is the time the mind, the chattering mind stops, and our conscious mind, the subconscious mind takes over the conscious mind. So it's very important to give rest to the body in terms of the mind chatter which goes on throughout the day.
Yes. So that is what we say from the spiritual and the holistic point. Now, from the medical point, I will tell you why sleep becomes important. Now, sleep has got two components, that is the REM sleep and the non-REM sleep. REM sleep is your rapid eye movement, which is your dream state, and non-REM sleep is your non-rapid eye movement, that is your deep sleep. So in a typical sleeping pattern, you will have REM sleep, then non-REM sleep, then again REM sleep, and then non-REM sleep. So it occurs like this during the night. Now, the various activities, now the body is like we have all our senses. So during the day, we absorb a lot, everything into our brain, because we see with our eyes, we feel with our senses, and we feel the sensation. So all these impressions will actually go behind. It will, you will see them, you will experience them. So they enter your body, and in the night, the brain has to process all these images and sensations. Okay. And as it tries to make a semblance of these images and sensations, it will start, making some image out of it. And that's when you have your dream state. So whatever is a very important thing, it will come up in a dream, because that's how your brain is trying to sort it out. All right. And when your REM sleep, that is your rapid eye movement sleep, is complete, that's when your blood pressure and all your hormones function normally. However, if your REM sleep is not complete, your cortisol level shoots up, your blood pressure shoots up, your insulin resistance goes up. So the incidence of diabetics and cardiac problems. So that's why you'll see heart attacks always occur at the early part of the morning. If a person is not having good REM sleep and it's in non-REM sleep, that's when you get a lot of heart attacks. And it gives rise to a lot of muscle fatigue, weakness, everything. Throughout the day, if you have not drunk adequate water, if your diet is not good, again that affects sleep, because dehydration and diet, lack of physical activity, all affect sleep. Your condition of the room, whether it is too cold or hot, your outside light, they will all affect your sleep patterns. So this is what occurs in the REM sleep. Now the non-REM sleep, what happens is that is the point where you rightly said that the brain chatter stops. And when the brain chatter stops, your body is the one which actually starts medically functioning. So all your tissues, organs, heart, everything is going through the process of rejuvenation. So it's like your body is going to a garage every day and it is getting rejuvenated. But so that is why your non-REM sleep is equally important, and the REM sleep is important, because if your non-REM sleep doesn't occur, you will get up feeling very dazed and weak and crazed out the next day. But if your REM sleep is not complete, you will again feel very confused because your brain has not been able to sort out all these things. Now, certain mindfulness practices and techniques can be used to connect, as we know, to your inner self, to reduce anxiety and enhance the emotional well-being. And managing these emotions become very important. So it is necessary to have a very holistic approach to health. So when we talk about health, it is physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And we need to understand that it's not just taking medicines or doing mindfulness. It's a combination of everything. So if you look at life, it's like a kaleidoscope, okay? And there is an array of colors and everything is constantly changing, but there is only one constancy in it. And that one constancy is self. And that is where connecting to the self becomes very important if you need to get out of this maze. And that's where Redikall plays a very important.
So if you're going to sleep late, then you are missing out on that part, where the REM sleep pattern can be finished and the non-REM can take over. So Paula, yes, come back, please.
Yeah. So that's what I said, ki the only constancy which you have is yourself. And that's where Redikall statements play a very, very important role. Your Redikall statements of solve, dissolve, and even transform and transcend are very powerful statements. And if you actually, go through these statements, even I use them on some of my patients as well, because they respond very beautifully to this. So, when you are able to connect with yourself, you will realize that a large chunk of the problems come down. So, and when this comes down, that is when you realize that the happy hormones or the endorphins get released. And you will find that, sometimes you are in the company of people where you constantly feel motivated. So those are the people who are connected to themselves. And we tell them that their energy is infectious, right? But these are the people who are so well connected to themselves that their energy levels actually boosts up other people. So just before ending, I would like to tell you there are 5 zones in the world where people live above 100. And these are called as the blue zones because people here have actually learned to navigate through the maze very successfully. Now, these blue zones are, I'll just name them out, are one is in Greece, which is in Ikaria. They are in Japan, in Italy, Sardinia. Then there is one in Costa Rica and Loma Linda, which is there in the US. So these are the places, the 5 blue zones, where people follow a very holistic way of living. So if you look at them, they're geographically very spread out and very far, but the basic principles remain the same. And so one is that they are very, very strict about their diet, which means they eat only 80% of the stomach capacity. They don't make it 100%. Okay. Then the caloric intake is very less. There's a lot of plant-based food habits which they have. Their physical activity. So they have lots of open spaces and open gyms, and their elderly also do a lot of physical activity, whatever it may be, walking, gardening, or any light form of exercises. There are social engagements because when you do any form of social engagements, it actually makes you happy and you can connect, correct? And reduction of stress. So before ending, I would just like to give a few key messages. One being that we are taught to be very smart and tough, but it is essential to feel. When you feel, you get connected to your emotions. You need to get connected to nature, to birds and animals, because if you see in the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom, it's a very simple way. It's a very connected way. They are very connected to their emotions. and silence becomes more powerful than words. Empathy is very important, because if you don't have empathy, we are all gifted with it. But if you don't use empathy, we don't understand. We are not empathetic. We will continue to live in the maze. Connecting, embracing, love, and accepting yourself for who we are is again very important. Using radical statements, they're absolutely very, very powerful tools. And this helps you to connect not only to yourself, to the higher forces in the universe. And lifestyle diseases, or NCDs, are basically caused because of faulty ways of living and the disconnection to self. So we will continue to be in the maze unless and until you know how to connect and making the most of life. So this maze can actually amaze you, because it can be really amazing. And the lesson and the brilliance of the maze is that it can lead you to a path of very amazing life. So thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you, Paula. In such
Thank
simple
you.
terms.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Very nice.
You put it so simply and so beautifully for all of us. And yeah, connecting to the maze can amaze you. And connecting and finding your way through the maze is the most amazing process. And the simple techniques that you have taught us and told us, which we may know but we don't want to follow, or we may understand but we don't want to accept it. It is up to us. You rightly said that. And thank you so much for this very simple and lovely conversation that we had today. Anyone having any kind of questions, please raise your hand so that you can ask Paula.
So
She's with us.
I want to thank Aarti, actually, because she called me up you called me up at such an apt time when I was traveling. And if you see, when you are going from Bandra and beyond, no, you see all these, when you're reaching Malad, Goregaon, you see all these towers. And there is such a jamghat of towers and towers and towers. And I was wondering, oh my God, this is the topic. And I need to speak on this.
Yes.
So it just came up at that point of time itself. That's it.
Yeah. And
Thank you. Thank you, Aarti.
It was such a guided one, you know, and you were flowing today. It was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody
Any questions?
Any questions of any kind? It could involve your children also. Remember, they also have disturbed patterns or disturbed habits because of lifestyle or because of studies or anything that disturbs you or comes to your mind. Paula is here to help you. Go ahead. Anybody? Okay. I think
if you're interested, on 27th, I'm having a workshop on mother-teen connection. It's a 10x mom workshop, especially for mothers. How mothers need to connect to their teenagers. If you're interested, you all can join.
You send me the details, Paula. I'll post it accordingly.
Yeah. So if you're interested, if you feel the need, it'll be interesting. It's a 1.5 hour workshop. We've put a lot of activities and things in it. And it's basically things which have come up to me over so many years, you know. And it took me almost 2 years to get this going.
So is it online or is it?
Online.
I see. Okay.
Online.
So you may give it to us and we'll post it. Yeah, that will be great. So thank you very much. Do post your comments and your feedback in the group. And Paula will call you back again sometime, but with another inspiration that comes up in your mind. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.